Good morning, everybody. Wow, how blessed are we to have this music, the meditation, the reading. Although, Lori, you took most of my words, and I'm not happy about that. She left. Yeah, it's just good to be here. If you haven't gathered the title of the talk yet, it is Healing Through Adversity. You've heard adversity a lot of times here. And certainly we've all had a chance to practice a lot of that over the last few years, for sure, with COVID and everything else going on in the world. My brother and I used to canoe the Au River. I grew up in Oscoda a lot of my life. My dad was in the Air Force, so we moved around a lot. But we used to canoe and fish the Au River. We would do a fall trip. It was absolutely gorgeous. Leaves were changing. There wasn't many people on the river. And it was just very pristine. You get on there, you put the canoe on there, and the fog is lifting, you know, that kind of picture that painting maybe that we've all seen before. And it was that kind of setting. It was just gorgeous. And so we would do that together, and we would camp out, and we'd find a spot on the river. Well, what we would do with our sleeping bags is we'd put them in a garbage bag just to keep them dry in case there was some water in the canoe and that. So we get to our destination, and my brother starts swearing up a storm. He is so angry. And I see him pull his sleeping bag out of the garbage bag, and it's soaked. And he's just so angry. And then he looks over, and he realizes it's my sleeping bag, and he is now having the best day of his life. I was so angry at him because how could he be angry and understand how uncomfortable it is to have a wet sleeping bag, and now he's laughing heartily at my expense. Well, that was much of my life. I was a professional victim, and I knew how to play that role very well. And many times it was because I didn't even know why it was. I was feeling picked on by God. Why is God doing this? Why is life doing this? And I really ran that to the greatest degree that I could for many, many years. And I'm not sure when the shift happened. I think part of it was when I did a workshop with Sadhguru, and he said something that was really powerful. And I didn't even realize how powerful it was until years later. But he said, one thing he said was, take 100% responsibility for your life. And, using the words responsibility, your ability to respond. And unless you take responsibility for something, there's no way for you to take action on that if you choose to. And, I've said this at times before, and people will say, well, 100% responsibility, well, there's this going on. It feels like this heavy burden I'm carrying. But I'm not saying it in that way. I'm saying it in a way, like Eckhart Tolle, somebody asked him about the pollution in the world, and he said, if you want to heal the pollution in the world, heal your own inner pollution. And so we have to take responsibility for what's going on. It doesn't mean we need to take action on everything that we take responsibility for. It means we have a choice, a possibility of taking action. And from there, because we're taking responsibility, it gives us a choice to hook into something that we're called to take action, that divine action. And Lori, as you had mentioned, Eckhart Tolle said, accept it, choose it as if you wanted it to come in, and then take action from that place, because from that place there's peace. So that was one of the things he said. And the other thing that struck me very profoundly was he said, every moment presents itself. Whether you want it or not, every moment presents itself, and you can either accept it or reject it. If you accept it, you're going to be in the flow with life. If you reject it, suffering will immediately come. There's no way around it. It will come to you. So those are some of the things that I begin to kind of learn how to work with. And the victim energy played out in me for a long time before really it dissipated. And occasionally I have my days. And my son actually doesn't even like me talking about being a victim because he says, don't make it a bad thing, you know. It's like, you know, you don't be judgmental about being a victim, because the truth is we all feel that sometimes, and we all feel that, you know, oh gosh, is this more than I can handle? Why is this happening to me? We all go through that, and it's not a problem. It's just that I'm offering you an opportunity to maybe go a step further so that we don't have to be, you know, caught in the quagmire of that experience. So I guess it's maybe 15 years ago, I'm not even sure when, I was meditating, and in my meditation I had a nuclear bomb go off in my meditation. It was a very clear image. And I just said, oh, what does this mean? And I thought, you know, is something going to happen to me? Is something going to happen to my wife or my son? You know, will I get in an accident? I mean, all kinds of crazy things started coming into my head. And so I truly didn't know. I just knew something was being presented to me that was not of a small nature. And I think it was maybe a couple days later, I was meditating, and then I was told in the meditation that I had cancer. And I thought, okay, well, any of you who've meditated, or we have our own intuitive hits about things, sometimes they're subtle, or sometimes our head gets in the way of what this means. So I wasn't really sure. I just felt like I just had this vision of the nuclear bomb. I just got this message. I need to take it seriously. So I said, all right. I said, God, I don't know what this is all about, but I feel like I need to take this seriously. Help me to do what I need to do. You're showing me this for a reason. You're giving me this information for a reason. Is there something that I can take action with to maybe heal it or do something with it that I can learn and grow from it? And so I did that, and then I realized I quickly became aware of what my greatest fear was, and that was what people thought about me, my fear and my need for love and approval for others. And I said, okay, I'm ready to take that on, Father. I'm ready to take that on. So I don't remember, it was shortly after that, maybe a few days within that, I get my son's baseball league call me up and said, hey, we don't actually have a coach for your son's team, and would you be willing to coach? I had coached teams before, softball and stuff like that, and at college and at work and things like that. But to think of coaching a bunch of kids that have these parents that will do whatever it takes to make sure their son plays or their daughter gets enough time in, you know, I mean, us parents, you know, can be very competitive. That scared me tremendously. But I knew it was something I needed to do, and I took that on, and ended up coaching his team, I think, for the next 3 or 4 years after that. But it was shortly after that that I took that on, that I heard Spirit say a couple things to me. One, the energy cord has been cut. Like, it's not going to grow in you anymore, but there was a lot of healing that needed to be done. And the other thing was, and just kind of fell away, and we'll see if it comes back. I'll let it go. So in any case, the other thing was they started playing a song in my head that said, do you believe in magic? Once I heard that, I was golden. I didn't doubt it. I knew I was going to be taken care of, and I was told to take cinnamon and hickory and orange peel, and there was one other. There's 4 of them, and I checked with a friend of mine that's a medical intuitive, and I said, hey, I got these 4 things, and I just wonder, you know, is this good? And he said, wherever you got that information from is spot on. That's to heal your stomach lining, you know. And I didn't tell him, because another thing Spirit told me, don't tell anybody. And I love that. I didn't want to tell anybody, because I didn't want to be lumped into this kind of this thought we have about, and this label we have about cancer. And Annie, you know what's going on with that. And so, you know, I didn't want to go to support groups and woe is me. I thought, no, this is just another issue that is being presented. what am I going to do with it? Why is it being presented? And so it was 2 years probably from that point where it took me to really heal it, where I couldn't ride a bike. I couldn't really, I couldn't walk very well. Even walking upstairs was just painful. Walking around was painful. My body was so inflamed, and it was just really just such a hard thing to go through. But part of it was, and I've had this, I'm going to say the sugar addiction. I'll kind of reframe that in a little bit, but the sugar addiction and how I ate food that just really needed to change. And I needed something to inspire me to change that. And so I did heal that, and then it was about, I'm not very good with time these days. I think it was probably only 3 or 4 weeks ago, I guess, I was just in my meditation, and was I in meditation? I don't even remember where it came, but, oh no, it was actually in my dream. My dad came, I was just coming out of my dream, that between that waking state and the sleep state where you get messages sometimes, and I was just coming out of it, and I heard my dad say, from the other side, I heard him say, you have cancer, and that unlike me, you have time. And so, last time I spoke here, I must have cried about half the time. I promise I only cry about 5 minutes this time. So it was another thing that caught my attention. And so my talk on healing through adversity is because it catches, we sometimes need things to catch our attention. That we get used to these patterns of how we walk through the world. And consequently, God is saying, hey, look, I'm on your side. I'm on your side. I know you see this as a problem, but I'm seeing it as this opportunity to open up and awaken to that truth that you already are. Only you have beliefs, you have opinions, you have the self-image of yourself that is standing in the way of knowing that you are divinity in its greatest form. And not even form, beyond form. You are pure divinity, beyond form, beyond the body, beyond the mind. We sometimes get caught in all these things, that we're our thoughts, we're our beliefs, we're our image, we're our personality. I'm this person that's 5'9". If somebody asks you to describe yourself, you might describe yourself physically, you might describe your intellectual level, you might describe yourself some emotionally in some way, or what you do for a job. These are all ways that we describe ourselves to people a lot of times. But I'm asking you to look beyond the descriptions and concepts of who you think you are. To look beyond all those beliefs and opinions of who you think you are. Because if you look at all those things, your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, all of these things come and go. They all come and go. You have to find something about yourself, of yourself, that doesn't come and go, that is always, always here. It has always been you. It will always be you. That's not your thoughts. They're in and out. Your beliefs change over time. Your body will come and go. Your mind will come and go. What is that truth about you that doesn't come and go? And so God comes along and he said, hey, Brett, you're falling into certain beliefs. You believe you're a sugar addict. You believe you don't know how to eat. And we might say things like, I'm addicted to sugar. Who is the I that is saying that? We have to look closely at that. We might say, I feel so angry, or I am an angry person. Who is it that's angry? Is it the truth of who you are, that one that was created in the likeness and the image of God, that formless awareness? Or is it this idea, this belief, this opinion that you've hooked into and falsely identified with as to who you are? And so in God's love, in God's infinite, unconditional love, he comes along and says, I am giving this to you because I want you to stop believing this about yourself. And so immediately I took this seriously about finding out that I've had cancer reappear, and I said, I can't keep doing sugar. I know sugar is where my issue is, and it inspired me to dig deeper in a really almost effortless way, because this inspiration was far greater than anything that I would describe as my addiction. And so one could say that, oh gosh, that's horrible. I truly do not feel that way. And that's why I've shared it with a few people in here when it first popped up for me, but I haven't shared it with most people, because I'm really not interested in hearing honestly what most people like. If I told my family, they'd probably say, go get chemo, or, do this, go to support groups, whatever, you need to do this, and this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not opposed for somebody doing that. I don't have judgment with that. But I'm just saying for myself, I just knew that it was something more. It was about me moving beyond these things that trap me into believing I'm something that I am not. We've all hooked into that at some point, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm not saying this is a bad or wrong thing. I think this is the play and the game of life, is to be born into this world. You're assigned a name, and then people start saying, oh, they're really good at music. He's kind of clumsy, he's not very smart, or all these things that we take on from our parents, our ministers, the beliefs sometimes that we hook into, our teachers, all these things, or people that we call authority figures. Unless they are coming from that awakened truth of who they are, they will be feeding some lies along the way, not necessarily because they're trying to, because they simply don't know any better. We have an opportunity right now to know better. We have an opportunity that whatever God is bringing in our life, to say, you know what? I don't know why COVID's here. I don't know why climate change is here. I don't know if we'll make it through climate change even. That's my honest truth. I truly don't know. But I do know this: it's here for a reason. It's here to teach us something. And we have the opportunity to either reject it or to accept it. The rejection will cause you suffering and pain. Anytime you're having suffering and pain, it's because you're fighting against something that God is saying, please stop fighting. I'm here to teach you something. Can you just trust me that this is here for a reason, and I'm here because I love you and I support you, and I want to lift you up into something greater than you have believed yourself to be. I feel emotional right now. I feel grateful. I feel God is on our side. He's on every one of your sides. And you might have things that you say, well, I'm not loving enough, or I'm not kind enough, or you don't know my past. I'm just asking you right now to let go of all that nonsense. Let go of all of it. You can let go of all your thoughts. You can let go of all your beliefs, especially all your opinions. Let go of all that. You can let go of everything you have learned, because there's a myth that somehow we need to keep learning more in order to awaken, but it's actually unlearning where the awakening will take place. Because there's a song, I think CeeLo wrote it, it's not because I didn't know enough, it's because I knew too much. And so there's nothing wrong with knowledge, but knowledge can sometimes get in the way of an innocence that is there and the truth of who we are. And so I'm inviting you to let go of everything, because there's one thing you can never let go of, and that is you. That formless, conscious, loving awareness of who you are. You can't get rid of it. It's you. It's there. It's always been there. It will always be there. So no matter what you do, and people can attack you, they can try to diminish you, but they can never attack or diminish the truth of who you are. They can never attack or diminish the truth of who you are. They can only attack and diminish that idea of who you think you are. And I'm asking you to let go of that. So I feel like I want to leave you with this. Whatever you've got going on in your life that you feel is a challenge, I'm asking you to just thank God for it. And you might say, look, Father, I don't know why it's here, but I trust that it's here for a reason. I trust that there's something here that you want to teach me. And I don't want to push away my thoughts or my feelings that say, I don't like this. And notice those feelings. Don't make them bad or wrong. I'm just asking you to be aware of them. The more you can be aware of your thoughts, all these crazy thoughts that come into your mind, the more you can just notice them, but recognize that's not the truth, they begin to fall away very easily. I'm not kidding you. For those of you that have that experience, that have had an awakening, to know that you are conscious awareness and not your mind, not your thoughts, not your feelings, the more you get clear on that truth, it doesn't matter what thought, what feeling comes in, don't fight it. Randall and I were talking about this morning. It's like the more you can just allow all the thoughts, even the anger, the frustrations, maybe it's hatred, just allow it to be there, but simply notice it, and notice it's not the truth. It's just a thought. It's just a feeling. You, the true you, is the conscious witness to that thought, the conscious witness to that feeling. So whatever it is you have going on in your life, I'm just inviting you to look at it differently and to give thanks that it's here to teach you something, to lead you deeper into the truth and back home to that beautiful truth of who you are. And don't just believe me when I say that. I don't want you to believe anything I say. I want you to try it on. You see if it fits for you. And you see if when you empty yourself out, you see for yourself what's left. And if you don't feel different about who you are. Thank you so much.